All right, I wrote down some resale propaganda I'm not buying. Let's talk about each of these individual things. First of all, thrift stores are for insert people, poor people maybe. I'm calling propaganda. They're businesses. If your brain can't comprehend that a business wants to make money so they can use that money to do things they want to do, then I can't help you. That's a tough nut to crack if you're so positive that your way of thinking is right, and that all the evidence to the contrary. For example, the the mission statement on Goodwill's website, where they say they use money to fund businesses and fund job training. Here's another example. I saw this. This is insulting. I was driving to my warehouse and someone put out a swing set, a kid's play set, probably from when I was a kid, so pretty old. And it said, for a family in need, no scrappers. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, not only are you making someone take care of your junk, because it was junk, but you're saying who deserves the right to your junk. And eventually they got a letter on their lawn from the township saying you can't leave trash out here, and they took the sign away. But that kind of attitude where some people think that only certain people can have things, I'm not buying it. Number two, full-time reseller. As in, you want to be a full-time reseller. What is a full-time reseller? I am not a full-time reseller. I am a part-time reseller. And I think everyone should try and be a part-time reseller. Because working hours does not mean making more money. That's logic you're taking from working at a job, a W-2 type job, and you're bringing it over to being self-employed. You want to work as little as possible while still making as much money as possible. If that's your job, if it's just a hobby, who cares? But if it's a hobby, then you're not out here policing who deserves to be heard when they give advice. Good versus bad things to sell. Not buying that either. It's pretty much all circumstantial around who the seller is. What's bad for me to buy might be good for you to buy. What's bad for you to buy might be good for me to buy. Now, obviously, there are exceptions. Like, let's say you're buying, I don't know, a bucket of rotten fish. Probably a bad thing to buy to resell. Who knows, though, if you're trying to fertilize your garden, couldn't be that, could be better. But I don't think that there's strict rules everyone has to adhere to in terms of the things they're buying. Here's another one. eBay algorithm. As in, don't worry about the eBay algorithm. Here's the truth. eBay is probably the top 5 biggest search engines out there. I'm going to say Google's number 1, YouTube's 2, maybe ChatGPT and Gemini and Grok, whatever. Maybe if you combine AI into one, that takes like spots 1 through 3 or whatever. But it's not including those, AI agents. It's probably Google, YouTube, and then eBay. Amazon maybe, then eBay. The point I'm making is that you can't just throw stuff out there based on what you think it should be. You can't just say, I'm going to ignore that items with free shipping and one-day handling get more impressions on search than items with free shipping and one-day handling do. Did I say not one-day handling? You know what I mean. You want to have free shipping and one-day handling, if only because that appeases the eBay algorithm god. Legalized gambling. That it's a good thing. This is whatnot. A lot of the live streaming platforms that do like sports cards breaks say it's okay, and they've taken steps to make it less gambling-like. But when people are buying stuff for the thrill, the thrill of the break, the thrill of the unboxing, whatever, I think that's bad. And I'm not buying the propaganda saying it's not bad. Listen, I get it's their right to do. I get it. But I think it's bad. I can have that opinion. It's okay. Not buying supplies. Number 6, the 6th thing I'm not buying. You can't, if you have any desire to be a consistent seller on eBay, meaning it's a revenue stream that you can rely on week in and week out, you can't be going around to recycling dumpsters and pulling out boxes. Okay, you got to buy boxes. You have to have a streamlined setup that allows you to optimize for whatever you're selling. Because the more time you spend doing anything that supports your business, the less money you're making per hour. And you should be thinking about things that way. Here's another thing in that same vein. Number 7, ROI versus profit. I fell into this. It's so cool to say you made a 10,000 ROI sale. It's so much fun, right? Well, your bank doesn't care what the ROI is on the money you're depositing. So, sorry. It's about your net profit. And I don't believe that anything else really matters. Number 8, I wrote down scalping in quotes, and I guess I just don't like that term. I wrote this down a few hours ago, and then now I'm filming the video finally. And I don't like the term scalping. I think that it's unnecessarily derogatory. It reminds me of someone having their head cut off and being killed, and that's not what's happening. It's kind of used as a rallying cry for people who didn't get their way going to a concert or buying a PS5 or whatever. And by using demonizing language and scapegoating people, bad things can happen. There's not really any evidence in history of that working out, being a net gain for society. I don't like it. Number 9, full-time generalist. I don't think that in the resale world you want to be a full-time generalist saying, oh, I just go around and I spend 40 hours a week going to garage sales, picking stuff out. Unless you're making content. If you're making content, oh, it's so interesting, right? But if you are trying to make as much money as you can, this is your job, you're trying to get a mortgage, you're trying to, pay for your life, that I don't believe that is in very many people's best interest. They should pick a niche and nail that down and optimize that process. Being a full-time generalist is fun. Being a part-time generalist makes more sense. Being part-time generalist, full-time specialized, or whatever mixture you want to have of the hours you spend during your week, but having most of your time being specialized and then just your hobby time being generalized, that's fine. But saying, I'm just going to go around and I'm going to take whatever's there, it's fun. It's not good for making the most money. And then finally, the fees are too high in quotes. And by this, I think I meant people complaining about fees on eBay or Amazon, whatever, being too high. And not really understanding that in order to get the kind of traffic that eBay delivers, it would cost you so much money. Even if you have your own, whatever the cheapest e-commerce site is, and you're paying for display ads to get traffic back to your site, besides all the time it takes to manage those ads, how are you going to convert a sale for 15% of the value of that sale if you are selling things on eBay the way most people sell on eBay, which would be having every SKU as a one-off? It just doesn't make sense. Now, if you are doing small, like I have 5 things to sell, sure, sell them locally. But in my opinion, what you get in return for what eBay charges is absolutely worth it. And the burden is not on eBay to lower their fees, but the burden is on the seller to figure out a way to make money in this ecosystem of opportunity that is provided to you. What's your propaganda you're not buying? Your resale propaganda that you think is fake? I'd love to hear it. See you guys later.